Well, I guess I need to tell our listeners how I got the title. So it was early in the history of the company. I had just gotten married and I was going away on my honeymoon. So I was going to be gone for 2 weeks to Asia. And back then, there wasn't good internet in Asia. So when I said I'm going to Asia, it was going to be really hard to talk to me. And right before I left, we were redesigning the business cards. I come back, and as a joke, one of the designers had mocked up Joanna Pineda, Chief Troublemaker, because I guess that's how people thought of me. And I loved it so much. I didn't think it was negative. I wasn't mad at all. I said, "Oh, I love this. Can I keep it?" And everybody said, "Yes, you should absolutely keep it."
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. Dear listener, this podcast is normally hosted by Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. But today is a special episode to celebrate Matrix Group celebrating 25 years in business this month. I get to interview Joanna about her journey and the story of Matrix Group. I'm Leah Monica, Director of Marketing at Matrix Group. Let's get started. Joanna, welcome to Associations Thrive. How's it feel to be on the other side of the microphone?
Well, thank you, Leah. It feels a little weird to be interviewed on my own show, but I'm rolling with it. Nice to be here today.
First of all, congratulations on 25 years.
Leah, thanks so much. And since you've been with me over 10 years, that means a lot. Some days it feels like just yesterday that we were in the Georgetown office and shared office space. It feels like yesterday, too, that we were at 801 North Fairfax renting furniture because we had a prospect coming in and we didn't have any furniture in the lobby. But then I think about the past month, for example, and we just launched some amazing websites for organizations like ACTEC or ACA. And it just makes me feel really proud to have all of these things under my belt. And I'm really proud that the team has done so many great things. And then I realize, yeah, we've been around for a while.
Well, time flies when you're having fun, as they say, right? So, Joanna, you are very much a forward thinker. And I know you're not someone that likes to look back much. Many of our staff don't even know about your personal journey and the early days of Matrix Group. So just for today, allow me to help you look back and forward. You ready?
I'm ready. All in.
So let's start with the basics. Tell me about Matrix Group.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you about Matrix Group like I've just met you.
Okay. Sounds great.
Matrix Group is a digital agency. We're based out of Arlington, Virginia, and we are devoted to associations and nonprofits. You know, what we say our mission is that we help associations and nonprofits change the world. We help them increase membership, increase revenue, increase engagement, and ultimately thrive in the digital space. And the toolkit that we use to make all of these things happen is we build a lot of websites, we build mobile apps, we develop a lot of custom software and custom integrations. We host all of these different and amazing applications. We also have a CRM that associations use to manage their organizations. It's called Matrix Max. And we have a virtual event tech platform called Bespeak. So with all of those services, we're really helping organizations to be high-performing and high-impact digitally. So that's really what we do for associations and nonprofit clients.
Quite the suite of services, but I'm sure it didn't start like that. Take us back, Joanna. When and why did you decide to go out on your own and start Matrix Group?
This is indeed taking me back. It was back to 1999. I was actually working for another organization, another company that was in the web space working with associations, and the ownership changed. And I wasn't nuts about the ownership, and I thought, I don't know what I want to do, so I left. And I was interviewing with different firms. And then a friend of mine that I knew from grad school said, "Hey, have you ever thought about starting your own company?" And Leah, no, I had never thought about starting my own company. I had been running the other company, but starting your own company, that's a completely different venture, right? And he said, why don't you try it? You've been running this company. And he said, I'll help you raise money. And I said, okay. I talked to my sister, my older sister, Patricia, and she said, give it a shot. Because she said, if it doesn't work out, then you can look for a job and you already know how to do that and you're back where you are now. And maybe you'll have gained a little bit of experience. So I said to my friend Dennis, okay, let's do it. So he gave me a little bit of office space in Georgetown. We did a little swap of services. I was helping him with his other company and he helped me with shared office space. He helped me later on co-sign a lease. I got a little bit of money from him. And then he was about to start raising money for Matrix Group, maybe with a few angel investors. But then I started getting clients. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to the DC Web Women community, to my family. I just got referrals. Hey, I've got a friend who needs a website. Hey, I've got a little bit of money in my budget before the end of the year. I know you can do this. And before you knew it, I had projects. And when it was just me, I couldn't actually get anything done because, Leah, you know that I don't actually do the work. So I quickly hired staff because we didn't have projects rolling in. And then a year went by. And the first year was probably all about survival. Are we going to make it? Are people going to believe me when I say that we can actually build these things? And then it became 2 and it became 3 and then it became 25. And that's how it went.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
Big thank you to Patricia for the wise older sister wisdom there. I think we can all say thank you to her for that.
Oh, absolutely. And she continues to give me amazing advice to this day.
What a gift. So when you started Matrix Group, can you tell us a little bit about the vision and the purpose back then? I know over 25 years, a business can change a lot. So what was the original vision and purpose when you were taking on those first few clients?
When I first started the company, I knew I wanted to work with associations. At the previous firm where I was, Business Information Network, we had association clients and we had government agencies as clients. For whatever reason, I just felt a really strong affinity to the association and nonprofit space. I actually worked as a fundraiser before I was at BIN. And I just thought, wow, there is this huge connection between the web, the internet, email, and what associations are trying to do. I mean, if you think about it, associations bring people together because they have common interests, right? Either because they're all actuaries or they're all sheet metal contractors, for example. But also associations are gatherers of information and they're disseminators of information, maybe with their perspective on it. And so if you think about the web, that's what the web does, right? Brings together communities, but it's also a place where we can gather and look at all this, find all this information, look for this information. So I thought, I think there's something here. And so from the very beginning, I said, let's work with associations and nonprofits. I like them. I love that they have mission. I love that they're, for the most part, very loyal to good vendors. I like the people who run associations. And so, when I started the firm, I said, this is new tech, because remember, this is 99. How can I, with my firm, help associations really adopt this new technology and become better organizations? And that's where the mission came from, right? How do we use technology to help associations and nonprofits change the world so that we're not going to change their mission, but we're going to help them be better, be more high performing, and ultimately make the world a better place.
Incredible. So thinking back to the early days, do you have any fun stories from the early days and kind of what were the early days like? It was a whole different world in tech 25 years ago.
Well, there's one story that I should tell you about, and it was called the M&M Night. When I started the company, we did not have a website, and yet I was getting clients. And I remember Dave Coryell from Delcor called me up and he said, Joanna, this is an embarrassment. You are doing web work, but you have no website. We had a business card website. Literally, it was the Matrix Group logo. And so I said, oh, God, how are we going to get the Matrix Group website created? And we didn't have a CRM yet. We didn't have an intranet. I mean, it was all kind of, by the seat of your pants. So I was running the company with a woman named Pamela O'Hara. And we cooked up something called M&M Nights. It was Tuesday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. every week. And the idea was that for that 2-hour period, the entire company would focus on making Matrix marvelous.
Oh, M&M.
And what we did was we said, look, there are things we have to do so that Matrix Group becomes a high-performing company. We need an intranet. We need a way to manage our projects. We need a way to manage our contacts. We need a way to manage our time. We need a website. So every Tuesday, 5:30, somebody would order food. And then around 6 o'clock, the food would come or we'd pick it up. And then I would put on the loudspeaker over the phone system, Mambo number 5.
Another M.
Yes, another M. So that was everyone's sign to go to the conference room. At first, we didn't even have a conference room table, so we'd sit on the floor. So that was everyone's sign to get into the conference room. We'd start eating, and then we would start to divvy up the tasks. And I guess what we would do is Pamela and I, earlier in the day, we'd say, what can we try and get done today? And we'd divvy up the tasks. And sometimes it meant that you were doing something that had nothing to do with your regular job, but that's what we needed, whatever it was. And over the course of, I think, a couple of years, we did it for a couple of years, every Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. We built the website, we built the intranet, we built a whole methodology for managing our projects. We built out documentation for how to manage these projects. It was pretty incredible.
That is incredible.
Basically, it was an early version of being lean, being agile, or our own version of Scrum, maybe, because there was a set of tasks that we would start the evening with. And the idea was that by the end of the evening, we would have accomplished those tasks. So we were very careful to say, what can we get done with 8 people, with 10 people in 2 hours? And that's how we got it done. And we stopped doing it. And then when we decided to do Matrix Max, same thing. We said, wow, we got to build this system with no money and no resources, but we had this idea to build this, association management system, and we brought back M&M night.
So fun.
But this time it was focused on Matrix Max. So again, the whole company was focused on Matrix Max for those 2 hours. In the early days of Matrix Max, there were only a couple people devoted to Matrix Max, but the rest of the company could help for that 2-hour period. So whether it was wireframes or specifications or designs, everyone was helping. And then during the day, then the 2 programmers that we had would actually work on the development.
Amazing how that intentionality really pays off.
Well, I think it was a way to focus on us and make us better so that it wasn't all flying by the seat of your pants. And it wasn't all, this place is a total disaster with no organization. During a time when we were busy, we were trying to survive, we didn't have a lot of money, and we just had to get things done. It was neat startup culture.
So fun. Making sure the shoemaker's children get those shoes, huh?
Exactly.
So, Joanna, I read this study recently by McKinsey that found that an average lifespan of companies listed in the S&P 500 was 61 years back in 1958, but today it's less than 18 years. So how does it feel to have that company that's 25 years old?
I'm proud. I'm proud of what we've done. I look at our roster of clients, and so many of those early clients are still clients today. And Leah, I say this regularly to the staff. I say, look, nothing stays sold. And I say regularly to the team, we have to make sure every week, every month, every year that those organizations that picked us back in 99, in 2020, in 2010, that if they were to do a selection process all over again, that they'd pick us. So we have to make sure that today we don't take our clients for granted, that we continue to stay relevant, that we show them how to navigate the future, and that we have really good tech and really good services. So I feel proud. I also look around and think, wow, a bunch of the companies that I basically grew up with aren't around anymore. So staying power is hard to achieve. And Leah, there have been times when I've thought, okay, that's it. This is it. I'm going to go get a job. And then somehow we pull it out of the hat.
Well, that's a great segue. I've been dying to ask you. So in every company, there are a ton of hard times. You can't not have hard times when you've survived for 25 years. I mean, we just went through 3 years of a pandemic, and there have been a host of other things over the last 25 years. So this clearly wasn't the first time, the Matrix Group has faced adversity in the pandemic, which was the first time for a lot of other companies. So tell us a little bit about the hard times.
When you've been in business 25 years, you've seen the tech implosion, right, of 2001. You saw 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
the recession of '08, right? So here we've got COVID. I mean, you've just seen so much stuff. What's really helped us survive those times is one, I think we've stayed close to our clients. I think that if you are very close to your clients and really have intimacy with them, then you know what's on their minds and they're telling you what they need. So that's the first thing. I think another thing is you have to scale your services and your offerings to the times. And Leah, we talk about this when we're in marketing meetings or biz dev meetings. During lean times, you want to offer clients almost services that are scaled back, very modest with high impact, so that they can actually afford them and continue to move forward. So I might say to a client, I know this is a tough time. What can we do on the website in the way of a small refresh so that you still are able to do the things that you need to do, but it's not, the big project? And I think what it does, Leah, is it shows clients that you're attuned to their needs and to their circumstances, because you're not saying, look, it's either $200,000 or nothing. I don't think that's the answer. I think you say, well, look, you got 30 this year, then let's do this. And then they feel like, oh, I can still do things. But then when times are better or clients are in the mood for making investments, you then have to show them that you can actually do the big thing that's going to excite them and their members next year and the year after. So that's when you say, look, are you ready for some big ideas that might be transformational? We're the company to do it. So you have to show them that you're with them at all times. I think that's how you weather it. I think you also, if you're a small company, Leah, I think what you have to do is you always have to be very careful about your staffing.
Yes.
And so, Rajni, my VP, we're very intentional about the next hire. When do we pull the trigger on the next hire? Are we sure there's enough work? And are there people in the company who maybe have skills that we can distribute around if we don't have, need of full-time work, but somehow they can be flexible with their skills? So, Leah, you know that one of the things that we say at Matrix Group is, and other duties as assigned, because so many of us have so many skills that allow us to kind of parachute in and out of projects because we're so flexible and have so many skills. How many times have you worn a hat as a project manager or as a writer or as a something? And I've, done those things too. So I think you stay flexible, you stay lean, and you communicate very closely with your clients and your staff.
Yeah, incredible. What's really coming out for me here, Joanna, is that is incredible leadership. And so I want to pivot a little bit into talking about leadership. So I'm in a lot of meetings with you, and we talk about leadership a lot at this company.
Yes.
You say that leadership development is one of the most important investments a chief exec can make in her staff and even in herself. So let's talk about leadership a little bit. And I think people might want to know too, why is your title Chief Troublemaker, and how does that relate to your leadership style?
Well, I guess I need to tell our listeners how I got the title. So it was early in the history of the company. I had just gotten married and I was going away on my honeymoon. So I was going to be gone for 2 weeks to Asia. And back then there wasn't good internet in Asia. So when I said I'm going to Asia, it was going to be really hard to talk to me. And right before I left, we were redesigning the business cards, or maybe designing them for the first time. Actually, I don't know. I come back, and as a joke, one of the designers had mocked up Joanna Pineda, Chief Troublemaker, because I guess that's how people thought of me. And I loved it so much. I didn't think it was negative. I wasn't mad at all. I said, oh, I love this. Can I keep it? And everybody said, yes, you should absolutely keep it. So we kept it. And I love the idea that I'm a troublemaker. I think there's good trouble and there's bad trouble. I was in a meeting yesterday with one of the teams. And of course, I'm doing my usual asking a lot of questions. And Dave Hornig, our director of software engineering, said, all right, well, thanks for the trouble, Joanna.
It's definitely a term of endearment internally. And I think it does say a lot about you and your leadership style in a good way. So let's dive into that a little bit. How would you describe your leadership style?
That's a really good question. You know that I think leadership is super, super important in the running of an effective organization. You know that I'm a member of Vistage. And for those of you who don't know Vistage, Vistage is a worldwide association or membership organization of CEOs. So I spend 1 day a month out of the office meeting with my fellow CEO peers away from the office and thinking about our companies. We spend a lot of time thinking about how can we make our companies better? What do other industries have to teach us? And I think over the years, after many conversations with my coach, Peter, I would say I'm curious. I think, Leah, you would agree with that.
Absolutely. That's the chief troublemaker right there.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, when we did StrengthsFinder, my number one strength was input. And input people ask a lot of questions. And so, Leah, you know this. I have to tell people I'm asking questions because I'm curious. So don't think I'm micromanaging. I like to think I'm collaborative. I actually don't make decisions on my own. I really like the energy of working with other people and getting different feedback. I like to think that I'm a coach. I'm constantly talking to people and hopefully cheerleading, but also guiding.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that I'm an enabler. I really do believe that part of my job as CEO is to help my staff achieve greatness. Like the credit shouldn't go to me. It's the staff doing all the amazing work, and they should absolutely get the resources they need to develop the skills and then do this great work. And then finally, I am committed to completion. I'm not someone who will flit away from a project once my interest moves away. I like to think that I'm someone who will kind of stick with something until it's done, because there's something really satisfying about the launch. There's something really cool about solving a problem. And you don't really see that unless you get to the end.
Absolutely. Man, Joanna, those are all words that I don't know that I could have described you better. That is a lot of self-awareness, but also I think it really shows that you've been so intentional with your leadership and your leadership journey and encouraging us as a staff to pursue these things. So thank you on behalf of the staff at Matrix Group, but that's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
I've also heard you say to someone that you don't like to take no for an answer. So there's got to be a story there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a story there. But, I was actually talking to my Vistage group about this. And the advice I gave them about, no, is when I ask someone, hey, can we do this? If we're really busy, then sometimes the answer is no. So I don't ask that question, can we do this, in the next 2 weeks? The question I ask is, under what circumstances can we get this done? Because then it's a negotiation. Instead of getting no, I might say, Leah, what do you think about redesigning the website in the next couple of weeks and, totally revamping the blog? And you might say, oh my God, she's crazy. But if I ask the question, under what circumstances can we get this done? Then you'll say, well, if you meet with me every day for half an hour and you give me Jamie and you give me Alex and you make sure Edward's available, now we're talking. So I think it's thinking about projects differently. And I'll tell you, I think the not taking no for an answer is from college. So I went to Stanford, and Stanford doesn't say no. It's really interesting. Or at least that was the experience that I got. When I was a freshman, a very good friend of mine wanted to take Gaelic. Stanford didn't offer Gaelic, but he marched into the foreign language department anyway, and they said, if you find 7 other students who want to take Gaelic, we'll hire someone to teach Gaelic. So it wasn't no, it was under these circumstances, we'll offer Gaelic. And I had another friend, I remember this was junior year, he wanted to major in Southeast Asian studies. And there was no Southeast Asian studies major at Stanford, but one of the deans said, if you will find a professor who would be willing to sponsor you and help you develop a curriculum, you'll get that degree. And then finally, I remember I wanted to go to Paris. There are probably millions of other examples, but I wanted to go to Paris my junior year. Leah, I am not someone who started French in 5th grade. I started as a sophomore in high school. And from my professor's perspective, that was very late. People who going to Paris were not starting French their sophomore year of high school. They were starting, in kindergarten or something, at some fancy prep school. And so I went to the head of the department and I said, I would really like to go to Paris. It's on my bucket list. It's my dream. Professor Bertrand, what can I do? And he said, if you will do this, this, and this, and pass a test at the end of the year, I'll let you go to Paris. And Leah, I did. I got to go to Paris and I didn't have enough money. Stanford said, we'll give you extra money in your financial aid package. So it was such an enabling experience. And it wasn't just yes for the sake of saying yes. It was yes if.
Wow.
And it was never no, absolutely. It was not yet or not this way. I think what it did is it freed my mind. And I know I'm annoying sometimes because somebody will say no. And I'll say, well, but if we do this, and this, and they'll be like, oh, Joanna, we already told you no. And I'll say, well, what about this, and this? And then more often than not, Leah, they'll say, well, now that you say that, if we do this and this, then the answer is yes. And so I don't take no. I figure there's always a way to get it done.
Right. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
It's a saying for a reason. All these dots are connecting, right? This is your whole be curious.
Yes.
Ask the question.
Yes.
And it all comes back to the chief troublemaker, right?
Right, yeah.
I absolutely love it. So listeners, I've been at Matrix Group for over 10 years. And kind of continuing on with our leadership conversation here, every internal meeting, especially staff meeting and larger group meetings, open with a company fundamental. And they're so embedded in what we do that I don't think about the why of fundamentals anymore. They're just part of the way we do work in life at Matrix Group. And I think this has been such a huge part of your leadership, Joanna, and building the company that you've built. So can you tell us a little bit about these fundamentals? What are they and where did they come from? What are they about?
The company fundamentals came about because I was in a Vistage meeting and there was a guy named David Friedman who talked about company fundamentals. And he said, look, every company has company values. They'll say that our values are honesty and integrity. And he said, that's really nice, but that's often not enough guidance for your staff. So he says that CEOs should actually develop their fundamentals, and they're usually phrases, not words. Or he calls them rules of the road or, phrases to live by or guidance for how we run the company. And when I sat down with staff and with myself during my quiet moments, I thought, what are the fundamentals or the non-negotiables or the words to live by at Matrix Group? And I think we have something like 26. This guy, David Friedman, said, embed them deeply into your culture. Open every meeting with a discussion about one of the fundamentals. And he said, what you will find is over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, it'll just seep into your culture. And I love it, Leah, when someone in a meeting will say, well, Joanna, we say, don't let your boss make a mistake. I think this, and I think you're about to make a mistake by saying this. And I'm just like, wow, that's just awesome that you just said that. You're living the fundamental.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I will say often in our meetings or, oh yeah, this goes back to this fundamental and they can rattle it off.
Yeah. And I have my favorites, right? If any of our listeners want the full list, send us an email and we'll send it to you. But man, I have my favorites. I mean, I probably number one is do or do not, there is no try. Because yes, of course, there's room in the company to try something. But when it comes down to making a promise to do something, there's no try, right? Like if I say I'm going to get this done, then I have to be able to believe you that you'll get it done.
And this is channeling your inner Yoda too, right?
Yes, it is. Right. Because I'm a Star Wars fan. I love be curious. There's that curiosity thing again. I love if we don't hear joy in the client's voice, our job is not done. I love don't let your boss make a mistake. Don't let your client make a mistake. Leah, you and I both love within Matrix Group, assume good intentions.
By far my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
And then I love be coachable. I hope that I'm coachable. And I hope that everyone on my team is coachable because I think we all have something to learn.
You are. And I think it's because we have these fundamentals in place. It's really been transformational as an employee too. So I love that. So we've been talking a lot about the past and the present. So let's now look into the future. At last week's staff meeting, you shared that Matrix Group is in a period of reinvention. And I've become accustomed to this working for you, but maybe to some of the listeners, this is something that gives them the heebie-jeebies when they think about change, especially corporate change. That can be scary for many. So why reinvention and why now?
I tell the staff on a regular basis, as you know, that we have to reinvent ourselves every 3 to 4 years. Our tech stack has to change. Our offerings have to change because if we don't, technology is moving so fast, we will quickly become obsolete. some things don't change, right? Like who we're serving doesn't change. Our values haven't changed. How we do the work, our fundamentals haven't changed. But the tech changes. Some of the jobs change. What we do changes. So when I started the company, we were doing small meeting registration forms and doing small shopping carts and doing small redesigns. And now we're doing large enterprise systems that take a year to build. Now we're building families of website and helping organizations really transform their organizations. And the tech has changed. We did Cold Fusion back in the day, and now we're doing C# and we're doing a lot of Python and we're doing F# now. I think that if we don't change, then we become obsolete. So that's why. And we had a period of reinvention at the start of the pandemic because that was a matter of survival. If we did not make some drastic changes to how we were serving our customers and quickly spin up some new services, then there was going to be no Matrix Group. But it's been 4 years. Can you imagine, Leah?
Yeah.
It's been 4 years and the world has changed fundamentally. So how do we adapt to that change? And so I'm not really sure what this change looks like, but I know that we have to go through it. And I think it's the job of the chief exec to say, we have to change.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of staff anxiety over change. Like we talked about here at Matrix Group, we're maybe a little bit more accustomed to it. But that's kind of because you've created this culture of having to change constantly. Part of it's, being in the tech industry.
Right.
But how do you manage that staff anxiety when we are bumping up against change and the need for change?
I think it's another C word. It's communication, communication, communication. It's over communication. We've got company fundamentals about communications, right? We say over communicate. We say when in doubt, over communicate.
Communicate to be understood. Yeah.
Exactly. Like we have so many fundamentals. I think you don't surprise people. Whenever I'm about to make what could be considered a big change, I'll tell the directors first, and I'll tell the PMs, and then we'll tell the developers. And maybe by the time we tell staff, everyone's really already heard it. So there are no surprises. I think you got to be honest about the change. And I think you have to be available and willing to answer questions about the change so that people feel heard. And then I think in the end, you have to just constantly reassure the staff that you're the same company at heart because your fundamentals have not changed. How you treat your clients, how you treat your staff, how you want to service your clients, that's not changed. The tools have changed.
Wow.
And I think that's a lot less scary.
Yeah, fantastic advice. Absolutely. So when we're talking about reinvention, I also have to ask, because this is the hot topic right now, how does AI or artificial intelligence fit into all of this? Is this kind of the impetus of the reinvention or not?
I think AI has a lot to do with it. Man, I spent all of last year listening to podcasts and reading about AI, and every article was saying, start playing with AI now. It's going to change everything. And I think we're seeing that AI has already given us productivity gains. We're not telling AI to write the software that we're writing, but AI is definitely making us or allowing us to write code faster, maybe hopefully a little bit better. We're also developing new services that are new and different, that have AI baked into them. Jobs are changing. New jobs are being created.
Yes.
Leah, you know that I'm a huge fan of the book, The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly.
Yes.
And he tells the story of Kasparov, the chess grandmaster. And in 1997, he was defeated by Deep Blue, the AI created by IBM to play chess. And I think I was reading somewhere that Garry Kasparov has the kind of the honor of being the first man to lose his job to an AI, right? But Kasparov said, wait, hang on, not so fast. So he started organizing these competitions that pitted a grandmaster paired with an AI against AIs and other grandmasters paired with an AI. Now, this is dated because the book is from 2017, but at that point, an AI paired with a grandmaster was still more than likely able to defeat an AI alone.
Wow.
What Kevin Kelly was saying in that chapter was, AI is not going to replace us. Saying that we shouldn't use AI, you're going to get defeated like a Kasparov. But if you pair and partner with your AI, then you will be unstoppable or a lot more productive or a lot more creative or something, whatever the adjective is. So if we can be centaurs, he calls us, half human, half AI, the AI brain, the AI thinking, maybe the breath of a Gen AI tool, but with the heart and mind and soul of a human, then maybe we have something even better. I love that. For me, it makes AI more palatable, but also something not to be feared because it's something that makes us better.
Absolutely. It's a new tool that can make us unstoppable, but humans are needed. Yeah.
Yes.
So looking into the future and all this futuristic stuff, what do you think Matrix Group is going to look like in 25 years? Are we going to be run by robots?
Well, I don't think so. And I don't know that I'm going to be around in 25 years. People, I have no plans of going anywhere anytime soon. So don't think that. But 25 years is a long time. And I am getting older. I hope that Matrix Group is still around. And I hope that we're still serving the association market. And I bet, Leah, our tool set will be vastly different. And maybe what we're doing will be different as well. It'll probably still be in the tech realm. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I think, Leah, if we do this interview a year from now, I think we'll be amazed, even at the change that's occurred just within Matrix Group in 1 year.
That is so true. I'm excited to see where 25 years takes us. When we look back in the last 25, it's kind of mind-bending, right? So
yeah,
who knows what's ahead? That's exciting, though. So I have a zillion more questions for you, but I know we try to keep your episodes on the shorter side. So how about I just ask you a couple more? As we're reflecting, if you could go back, what advice would you give yourself at the start of your entrepreneurial journey? What would you say to anybody that's just starting out like you were 25 years ago?
Oh man, what I would give to have the knowledge and experience that I have now if I had it back then. So I would say to myself, 25 years younger, focus earlier on building your leadership team. When I first started the company, it was me running the company, and then it was people doing the work. And it really wasn't until I said, you know what, I need more of an executive team, people who are not just managing projects, but really helping me to build the company, who are thinking strategically with me. I think it wasn't until I kind of figured that out that the company started to grow and thrive, because then everything wasn't on my shoulders. And I had different perspectives in the decision-making. Super, super important. I would have joined Vistage earlier. When I finally joined Vistage, I remember my very first meeting, there was a presentation by a guy named Don Schminke. Ask me about him some other time. Blew my mind. And I thought, yeah, why didn't I join this earlier? And I've been in Vistage, over 15, 17 years now.
Yeah.
And imagine if I joined earlier. I would say maybe in the last 10 years, we have been much more intentional about teaching the staff how to treat clients. And that sounds super, super obvious, but even in the way we teach the staff about how to take notes at meetings, how to respond to messages, how to have really good subject lines, when to say no, how to communicate bad news, for example. I wish we had started that process earlier. And then something that we actually started just recently is something called PM Academy, where every Tuesday for an hour, the PMs gather and take on both technical and non-technical topics. We used to do these monthly. Now we're doing it weekly, and I wish I had started it sooner.
There's something about those Tuesday meetings, Joanna. These keep on popping back up.
Oh, God, you're right.
Oh, wow. That's incredible advice. So thank you for sharing that. What are you most excited about in 2024? Looking at the next 25 years out, I know we talked about is a little hard to wrap your head around. So let's just talk about this year. What are we looking forward to in 2024?
I'm excited about so many things. The staff is doing such a great job. The projects are so amazing. If I had to list the things that I'm most excited about, I would say the new AI projects, and we've got 4 or 5 in the works right now. We completed one last year, which was the multilingual project for SQFI.
Oh, yeah, such a great project.
And that website, sqfi.com, is now available in 9 languages, thanks to AWS Translate. Unbelievable project. And we have more of those projects coming out, and they're projects in and of themselves where the services involve AI. I'm also really interested in the continuing discussion that we are having at Matrix Group about Work 4.0. And Work 4.0 is the largely remote, sometimes hybrid work that we're doing. And Leah, I think that our continued success is really because we've been intentional about our culture. We haven't just said, oh, we're remote, and yet kept the same ways of communicating and ways of working together. We've been really intentional about that. I think it should continue, and I expect it to continue, especially into next year where potentially we won't have an office, a physical office. I'm excited about the reinvention and the conversations around reinvention. I think it's sparking a lot of really interesting ideas among the staff about what we could be. And then finally, you know that I'm working on a book.
Yeah.
So I won't talk about the book, but I'm super excited about it. And I think that it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so that's a 2024 initiative. So lots and lots to think about.
I know I can speak for myself. I think I can speak for our listeners in saying very excited about the book. I'm going to be first in line to snatch that up. So I can't wait to see what comes of all of this amazing stuff in 2024. Well, Joanna, this has been so much fun. Thanks for sharing so much about your personal journey and the journey of Matrix Group.
Leah, thank you so much for hosting today. You made it really easy. And at the start of this interview, I was actually a little nervous because I'm usually the one doing the interviewing. So I now know who's going to be my backup when I can't be host for Associations Thrive.
Oh, those would be big shoes to fill. Well, listeners, Joanna will be back as host of Associations Thrive next week. By the way, we will be celebrating our anniversary all year. This is a big enough deal that we're not just going to celebrate it in one day or 1 month, so be on the lookout. Joanna is scheduled to have some really thoughtful conversations with CEOs about the future of their professions and associations over the next 12 months, focusing on the next 25 years.
I can't wait. At least once a month, I'm going to stray from my usual format and ask association CEOs about how their industries are changing and how they are adapting their services in response. Next week, I'm going to be on with Vince Tolucci, who is CEO of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Now, he's been on before, but this time he'll be talking about how policing has changed, what policing will look like in the next 25 years, and how IACP is adapting their education and services as a result. The first Vince Tolucci episode has been one of the most popular episodes in our entire catalog.
Yes.
So I know next week is going to be great. So please be on the lookout for that episode. Leah, thanks so much for today.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. My personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends. Bye!